I'm Maya Montañez Smukler, head of the head of the Archive Research and Study Center located in Powell Library on the UCLA campus. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Spotlight on Ida Lupino weekend and tonight's program, Ida Lupino and the Small Screen with special guest Lupino scholar Alexandra Seros. Archive screenings in the Wilder are free thanks to a gift from an anonymous donor, and tonight's screening is underwritten by the John H. Mitchell Television Programming Endowment. Special thanks to Mark Quigley, television curator for the archive, who curated tonight's program. Special thanks also to the Hammer Museum, to our community partners, the UCLA Alumni Association, the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, and Professor Chan Noriega, Interim Dean of TFT. A big thanks to Athena Jackson, our university librarian, who's here tonight. Thank you for supporting the archive's work as it relates to research, teaching, and scholarship, which tonight we are celebrating. And a sincere gratitude and extra special thanks to Jeff Mantor of the great Larry Edmonds bookstore on Hollywood Boulevard, who made possible tonight's book signing. In addition to the disclosure series, the upcoming disclosure series, which you just saw a trailer to, I also want to do a plug for tomorrow night, which will be another CMS and TFT collaboration with a screening of No Way Out, starring Sidney Poitier, with special guest Professor Ellen Scott. Ida Lupino's long and multifaceted career as a performer, writer, director, and producer in film and television makes her creative output and star persona a fascinating study. Last night, some of you may have been here for The Bigamist, the 1953 feature film that Lupino directed, produced, contributed to the script, and co-starred in, and the film was restored by the archive as well. Tonight, we are showcasing 3 extraordinary television episodes. This Is Your Life, Ida Lupino, special thanks to our friends at Ralph Edwards Productions, followed by a new digital preservation of the rare sitcom Mr. Adams and Eve, Howard and Eve and Ida, from original 35mm negatives, thanks to Charlotte Barker and Graham Marshall of the Paramount Archive for the picture scan, and to John Polito of Audio Mechanics for sound work. Last, and by no means least, we are pleased to present the world premiere full digital restoration of the Noir TV drama Screen Directors Playhouse, number 5, Checked Out, directed by Lupino. This preservation project, including a great promo that you will see, was initiated by Alexandra Seros, who generously funded the project. Thank you, Alexandra. From all of us at the archive. The preservation project was supervised by the archive's senior film preservationist, Mickey Shannon, who is also here tonight with us. Thank you, Mickey. And thank you to Jill Borders, also here tonight, our head of preservation at the archive. Mickey would like to give special thanks to our preservation partners for this undertaking, Vincent Pirozzi, and Greg Garvin at Roundabout for the picture restoration, John Polito at Audio Mechanics for sound restoration, and Simon Daniel at Simon Daniel Sound for their sound work. While we celebrate Lupino's work in television tonight, we are also celebrating the publication of Ida Lupino, Forgotten Auteur, From Film Noir to the Director's Chair by Alexandra Seros. Alexandra received her PhD from the Cinema and Media Studies program here at UCLA in 2019. Her book, based on her dissertation, was researched extensively at the Archive Research and Studies Center and in UCLA's Performing Arts Library Special Collections. Congratulations, Alex. Please stay after the screening for a conversation with myself and Alexandra about Lupino, her work in television, and much more. Enjoy. So in your book, you emphasize how Lupino was such a pro, such a professional, that she loved to work, for better or worse, that she had to work, that her work was innovative professionally and creatively. set up for us this time period in these 3 episodes, 1956 through 1958. Just tell us a little bit about what Lupino was doing that that allowed her to have these 3 different television experiences.
Well, in 1953, she had just finished The Bigamist, which was the end of the filmmakers. So she had to work, and she had to support her family. So I'm out of breath. I'm running. Sorry.
You're like Lupino on This Is Your Life. You can do it. You can do it.
Wasn't that so cringy? That was great. So she had to get work. So TV was looming, and she was horrified of TV. She thought this was going to end her career. Everybody in film thought TV was a career ender. And so little by little, she was convinced by Four Star to go on and do some TV acting. So she did that, and she liked it because it was like 4 or 5 days. She was done. She made some money, and and she was very innovative. So she liked to do different things. So she did Mary Surratt, The Trial of Mary Surratt, Joseph Cotton Presents. And she was interested in that story because Mary Surratt was the first woman who was executed in the United States. She was executed for taking part in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, which she always denied. So then after that, she sort of got her feet wet, and the Screen Directors Playhouse came along, which was a very elegant way to sort of enter TV, because there were a lot of good directors who were fluidly going between film and TV. And Anthony Mann was one, Frank Borzaghi, Bill Aldrich, very, very good directors who were on Screen Directors Playhouse. So, that was something she really wanted to do. That was 1956. Okay. After that, 57, 58, were the 2 seasons of Mr. Adams and Eve, for which she got nominated for Best Actress both times. But she lost, I think, Donna Reed or something, the Donna Reed show. Yeah, she was always underestimated. So then she did those 2, and she was kind of a star, really a TV star. She was the only person to make sort of a double transition from film to TV as an actress and a director, and then TV, again, actress and director. And the only other person to do that was Orson Welles, and he was considered the auteur, and she was forgotten. So it was very interesting, this sort of 54, 55, 56, 57, because she was doing comedy, she was directing serious films, and I think particularly the reason I like Screen Directors Playhouse so much was you could see the hybrids that she used. She was using film noir, film gris, and a little bit of just a straight crime thriller. She also had expert casting. She saved time by casting people with baggage. So Bill Tallman was a serial killer. But he was kind of a serial killer with a reason. He was left in a well by his father with 5 of his siblings, and everyone was adopted except for him because he had a slow eye. So you kind of had a feeling that Bill Tallman wasn't totally bad. He was sort of the medium in the morality. Teresa Wright was the center of good. Peter Lorre was the center of evil. He was the eternal foreigner, stranger, scary foreigner, serial killer, child molester from M. So she cast these people, and in doing so, she got great actors. At the same time, she didn't have to explain anything to the audience. That was 27 minutes. And it was set up perfectly. It's a cabin in the woods, it's dark, it's isolated, and she's deaf. and there's nobody there. So you know something horrible is going to happen. And so her lighting is incredible. It's very noirish. She used Paul Ivano, even though it says Lester White. It says Paul Ivano also, but she used Paul Ivano because Nicholas Ray used him, and she had used him in the past. And Lester White may have been somebody that CBS just had under contract, and so he always got a credit. I don't know. Maybe Mark knows. I'm not sure. But it was she had this great casting. She rehearsed. She shot very elegantly. She introduced Peter Lorre from the back. She gave him a lot of independent activities to do. And I think, sort of that sort of 27 minutes shows many things about her style, her ability to direct actors, her genre hybrids, and
how many feature films had she made by this time?
She made 6.
So she's already made 6 feature films when she comes to do her first TV episode at under 30
I think
minutes.
she'd probably made more features than a lot of the other directors who were on Screen Directors Playhouse. So, yeah.
Let's just talk a little bit about This Is Your Life, as that's our
Was
example.
that so cringy?
Example of the real Ida Lupino,
Oh, my God.
or not. So the nature of Edward's show is to bring family and friends, to some familiar, some from the past, to the surprise guests to tell them about their life. So what is going on in this episode? What picture is this episode painting for 1950s American viewers of Ida Lupino?
Yeah.
Walk us through some of the complex layers here of...
Well, she, as Edward said, she spoofed the show a year earlier, in 1957. This was 1958. Also, in 1958, she and Howard were divorced right after the ending of the series. So in that, what I saw, and every time I see that, is she is ready to kill Howard, for sure, and it's had it with him. But what's really interesting is she had spoofed them earlier, and so he's getting back at her now. And she is someone who always wanted to surprise people. She's full of suspense. She wanted to scare people. It's very important in her filmmaking to do that and to be realistic. But she never wanted to be shocked or scared or surprised. And she's a perfectionist, so you're never going to see her raw. This, you get to see her, and this is why the archive's so great. You get to see her raw, one glove on, one glove off, smiling but not smiling, but looking horrified, but then, it was so cringy. I almost don't know what to do when I'm watching it. And she was very different with each guest, For one second, Ralph Edwards, she thought was going to ask her a question about her past. I don't know. I'm not good with facts. I don't know. She just doesn't ever want to be off guard. I get that, But the first person who came, she really enjoyed seeing him, the Uncle Barry. When her sisters came, her sister and her best friend came, she seemed a little bit more at ease telling stories. When Bill Wellman came on, she was very respectful of him because he gave her a boost in her career that was amazingly important for her. It was 1939, The Light That Failed, and she really wanted to play this Cockney actress, and she wasn't up for it, and she convinced him. So she had a whole different demeanor when he came on. She was very respectful and appreciative that he had come to be in this thing, this is your life. When she was with the people she had discovered, Sally Forrest, Mala Powers, she was, I think, the most relaxed, because she's with people she had nurtured, and she had this sort of nurturing quality. And I thought it was weird that her daughter came running out. Like, didn't she just see her that day? Oh, Bridget. I just thought it was so weird. And her mom, and everything. But it's part of
That's sort of the nature of the show, that it's
yeah.
got this weirdness, like to send a 5-year-old little kid out on stage and she's just clinging to her mom.
And here's your husband, who you just saw 30 seconds ago in the real estate office. I mean,
who you are getting a divorce from.
Yeah.
In your book, you write of Lupino, in the creation of her own paradoxical image, neither masculine nor feminine, but always mother, is where I believe Lupino is best understood and reconsidered. Tell us more about how Lupino used mother as part of her creative and celebrity persona, and we see it a little bit in the Edwards show.
Well, she didn't want to be seen in a bad way. She was the only woman out there for 21 years directing, so she kept her head down and she didn't want to be noticed that she was a woman. And so she tried to have sort of a masculine edge and just be nondescript. And she never had a legacy or an archive or anything because she just wanted to work. I kind of like that about her, that she wasn't like thinking about her, how she was going to be remembered later. She just kept working. And so the mother thing came up because she felt like it was a way, kind of a kindly intimidation of the actors. Like, how are they going to say no to their mother? Mm-hmm. And she had mother written on her, chair. And they called her mother. And that was the way she got out of being too feminine or too masculine for producers or anybody who might want to come after her and say, you can't direct. And she used it all the time when she was directing television. And, it was just kind of her clever way of avoiding it. I mean, they made her write articles that feminized herself. It was kind of ridiculous.
Wait, who's they? In what kinds of publications?
In general, the Hollywood would say, we want an article on how you do landscaping, Ida, or we want an article on how you set the Thanksgiving table, or we'd like an article on, a little bit about your wedding to Duff, or, we need your recipe for lemon mousse and meatballs and stuff. I mean, so she had to write, because she was a writer, she wrote them herself, so they were pretty good. But she didn't, she didn't really want to do it, but she had to.
It's the 1950s,
it's
so
the 50s.
She has to she has to sort of manage that balance between an expectation of women and and being a professional in one of the most competitive fields. Although let's talk about representations of women directors, because the Mr. Adams and Eve episode is just mind-blowing. It's not anything we could ever imagine.
It's hard to see. It's really hard to see. And Magic Mark Quigley, he got it.
And it looks beautiful.
It does.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. So the films that Ida Lupino directs are social dramas, noir, stylistically aligned with noir, with social realism, oftentimes featuring first-time actors like the ones that are recognized on the Ralph Edwards show. Why does she make this hilarious, self-reflexive, satirical sitcom about Hollywood and her own celebrity? Why does she choose to do that, and what do you think she brings with her to that TV show from all her film work?
Well, the other shows, the other sitcoms that were on were I Love Lucy, The Honeymooners, and these were housewives who didn't want to be housewives. In Lucy's case, she was always trying to get on stage with Desi and be kind of famous, and never could. And there was an undercurrent of anger, but you don't see it in Lucy. They it's not obvious. But the honeymooners, Alice Cramden was pissed off. She hated her husband. He was just a bus driver. She used to put him down all the time because he just drove a bus. She didn't have a good TV. She didn't have a good refrigerator. And, she just complained all the time, and she was overtly angry. In the case of Lupino, of this Mr. Adams and Eve, she didn't have to do housework because she was a famous movie star. So she was a failure as a sort of a housekeeper. Because she did something else. So she took the opposite tack from those two shows, and there were others like them too. And she went around and pitched this thing, and most of Hollywood said no. We're not. Why are we going to spoof ourselves? And finally, I don't know if it was CBS or NBC. They said yes, we'll do it. So she was putting on both sort of a documentary about Hollywood and spoofing it at the same time. And so it was a sophisticated sitcom. It was 25th. It ranked 25th in those 2 years, all those sitcoms, and it was always well reviewed. And she, as I said, she got these 2 acting nods, nominations. But I think she was reacting to the other sitcoms that were there and trying to do something different. She was always trying to do something different.
And that she puts herself and Howard Duff at the center of it, maybe, makes it seem like it's less pointing fingers because they're pointing fingers at themselves as well as just Hollywood culture.
But she was making double the money. So she was making money for herself and Howard because she was the breadwinner. So a lot of times she was working on her own, but when she could, she would get work for Howard so that they had, could make ends meet. So
and maybe to also manage the power dynamic.
Yeah.
What was her creative role in Mr. Adam and Eve beyond, co-starring? Was she a writer, producer?
No, she wasn't credited for any of that. Saul Sachs did all the writing. But she was, she made cuts. She made suggestions. She did some of the wardrobe herself, I'm sure. Makeup. She probably suggested lenses. Saul Sachs, she didn't want to write it. She didn't want to actually have that responsibility. But Saul Sachs would say they'd go over to their house, they'd have some martinis, and they'd talk, and they'd come up with these episodes. This one particularly was so interesting to me because when I was doing my research, I was doing some study of reviews about The Hitchhiker, and it was pretty consistently well reviewed. And it was her best, I think it was the best movie she's ever made. She thought the same thing.
What year is The Hitchhiker?
1953, 52, 53. These 6 films kind of overlapped because she was constantly doing one after the other after the other. So there was this review of The Hitchhiker that gave it a rave review and never mentioned the director. Never.
Does she have a writing credit on The Hitchhiker?
Yes. Yeah. There's a story by, but for somebody else. But yeah, she has a writing credit. They never mentioned it. So this, I know, had to be her idea. Let's do this thing where nobody can remember who directed The Hitchhiker. I mean,
we all know the director.
Oh my God,
it's such an amazing movie. Yeah.
It was unbelievable, really, that this review. I can't believe it. I think it was the Hollywood Reporter. So
it's incredible to see that episode, to see any moving image documentation of women directors during periods like this, the 50s, when it's Ida Lupino is this singular director.
People couldn't handle it. They just couldn't handle it. Even a lot of female critics or reviewers couldn't handle it either. They just, they had to find fault with it. It was unbelievable. It's a real...
Lupino's work as a performer for many is associated with noir and drama and crime. I mean, certainly in the 40s, High Sierra, They Drive by Night, Out of the Fog Roadhouse. What's her capacity for comedy? we're seeing it in the sitcom. But what were her opportunities to be funny in film and TV in the 50s and 60s?
She wasn't given a lot of opportunities to be funny. She did some stuff with Lucy Summer Vacation. She was really funny in that, like funnier than Lucy. They both rented the same summer cottages, but Lucy and Desi did, and then she and Howard Duff did.
That's the premise of the episode.
Yeah, and she was hilarious in that. And I think she directed a couple of those episodes too. Her father was a famous comedian. You can see him on YouTube. Going Fishing is a really, really good one. It's silent. Her uncle, or her, I don't know if it's her uncle, her father's cousin, Lupino Lane, was a really famous comedian. Her mother was a musical comedy star. So she's had great timing, but she just wasn't given those kinds of roles. And she also, in TV, was not often given love stories or romantic comedies at all. They gave her hard, tough action stuff, which is so funny because they didn't want to admit she existed, and they didn't want to admit that she was in this masculine profession, but they wanted her to do hard driving action crime, and noir. It's really an anomaly. I guess they couldn't overlook the fact that she really did a good job, and she brought things in under budget and on time, like that. Yeah. I am so cold.
It is especially
I
chilly
think
in
I
the
was
theater
sitting under
tonight.
something over there, and I'm so cold now. I'm like, ah.
You have a chapter in your book titled Hitchcock, Ray, and Aldrich, Alfred Hitchcock, Nicholas Ray, Robert Aldrich, which you describe as a guerrilla alliance.
Guerrilla alliance.
What was Lupino's creative partnership like with those three directors? What connection are you making?
There are lots of connections. They used each other's DPs. They appreciated each other and respected each other. Hitchcock later hired her to act and direct some of his episodes. She finished one of Nicholas Ray's films because Nicholas Ray had a nervous breakdown. One
of his films or TV shows?
Films.
Oh,
yeah.
Which one do you?
Yeah. Let me think.
Sorry,
No,
it's
that's
not
okay.
nice to quiz.
No, it's fine. I think I want to say not In a Lonely Place, where she was. Robert Ryan was in it. Does anybody in the audience?
Dangerous Ground?
Yes.
On Dangerous Ground.
Yes, thank you. And she had to finish that. And I guess it was kind of it was kind of a funny finish. I mean, it wasn't great maybe, but she and Robert Ryan did it together, and she never really admitted that she did it. She didn't want to take that away from Nick Ray in any way. The three of them moved, and Aldrich too. She worked for Aldrich as an actress in The Big Knife, which I really think is a interesting film because it's full of method actors. Okay, it's got Rod Steiger, Gene Hagen, who else?
Shelley Winters.
Wendell Corey, who was in some of Orson Welles' films, and very, really serious method actors. And she never really liked I mean, she wasn't against it, she just didn't deal with it. But she was more understated in that film than any of those method actors. Really quiet and very understated.
And that movie's 1955, so
Exactly.
just the year before these three.
Yeah, and Jack Palance, for some reason, was the center of the movie, and he wasn't anything. I mean, I don't know what you call his acting. He was just Jack Palance. And, and Aldrich was really good with actors, and she liked him a lot. He came from he was an assistant director, which is a really not an easy way to become a director. But he would get there first, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, and he'd leave at the end of the day after everyone. And she was like that, like really a hard worker. And he she admired the way he directed actors. So if if you're interested, that's a good film to watch because her acting is really, really fine. And I think maybe he asked her to do some things, some mindful things, and I think she was trying to do that. And I've never seen a performance of hers quite like that. It was interesting.
Let's take a couple of questions.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you can wait, we have a mic coming down.
Can we turn on the heater? I'm so cold.
Down here in the very front. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pierre. I'm an agent, and I wanted to maybe talk about her Batman appearance with Howard, which was really cool and really fun, the last season of the series, 2 shows. So if you could talk about that, how that came about, why she did it. She played Dr. Cassandra. It was really cool and fun. So I'd like to hear more about that.
Well, I'm not really up on that one, but I do know that I'm pretty sure she took that for money and fun. And all her movies are about entrapment. And so there's a quality of that in there. And I think I've only seen that once, so I really don't feel qualified to talk about it.
But I think it also points to
Her humor and her comedy.
her humor, her comedy, her range, and how she was a working actress.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much.
The son of the scholar saves the day. Thank you, Bruno.
Oh, my God. I was dreaming about
I feel like
this.
that's something that would happen to Lupino, or just somebody would appear on stage. But I think the Batman episode reinforces a lot of what you say in your book about how not only she had to work for a living, but that she was a multifaceted professional, and that she would be, she would, make an appearance on any number of TV shows while she's also still directing, and that she had that capability and that she had that need.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, that's right. And I think too, she gave that the same effort that she would do anything else. She didn't look down on it, or she didn't laugh at it. She found what she could do with that and do it the best way. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'll have to look at it again.
Other comments? Here in the back.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, way up top. If you can raise your hand again. No, wait, you just passed her. Oh, okay. We'll go. That's all right. You,
Was she
go ahead
first?
and then. No, go ahead. It's okay. We'll get her next. Thank you.
You would be the one to correct me, but I don't believe Ida Lupino ever directed herself on screen.
Yeah,
Is
she
that
did.
she did?
Bigamist.
She did.
The Bigamist, she did.
The Bigamist, of course. And unlike a lot of other actor-directors who directed themselves on screen, I don't see any of Ida's ego as an on-screen presence come through in her direction like we do with Wells or Chaplin or Streisand, where it's like you see them on screen and it's like it's so obvious that they're directing themselves and they think of a lot of themselves off screen as they do as on. And I don't get that as much from Lupino, so that shows how egoless she was as a director. And I was wondering if you could comment on that.
Well, yeah, she did not like having to do the Bigamist. She didn't want to do that part and direct the movie. But Joan Fontaine, who had just married her ex-husband, Collier Young, insisted that she wouldn't do the movie unless Lupino did it with her. And that's the only reason she acted in it. And then she couldn't stand to see herself on screen. And then she would ask her DP, I think it was Discant, did that. And he also worked with Nicholas Ray and Alfred Hitchcock. There are all kinds of connections. But I think that she would say, please tell me how I was, because she had no way of knowing. And she was really concerned about that. So you're absolutely right.
What about the ending of this episode of Mr. Adam and Eve?
Oh, I know.
Where
Yeah,
I mean, it's like the ending of The Bigamist, and they
kind of.
all go
It's
off together.
open-ended.
Is it open-ended?
Yeah,
It's pretty polyamorous.
I think
to me.
maybe it was. It was. But I mean, maybe Howard was saying, like, she's so multifaceted, I can't take it anymore. I mean,
Well, she just keeps referencing her films,
Yeah.
which is so clever and really wonderful to see, and also that she's doing it with such humor.
yeah.
Whereas The Hitchhiker and The Bigamist are such serious films.
Yes.
So it again shows that, I think, to what your comment is, that she's able to think about herself not just as, the star or the director, but that she can poke fun at herself and put herself kind of in front of the audience in various ways. There was somebody just while
we're
closer.
waiting for this, Mike, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank Kathleen McHugh, who is here somewhere, and she was the chairman. She stepped in to be the chairman of my committee and helped me tremendously. It was a good mentor for me. John Noriega, who, what can I say? He kept me from things happening. He protected me. when other books came out and stuff, and he told me things in advance that helped me a lot. So
Other books on Lupino.
yes. I mean, sometimes he scared me to death, but he was so helpful. And I want to thank the archive, the staff of the archive, who've been incredible, and especially the leadership of May. She's taken it to another level, and Nikki, right? Mick, yeah. People who were helping work on this preservation. It's just amazing. And I especially want to thank Mark Quigley. Like, when I first went into the library and said the words Ida Lupino, he was like my friend for life. He helped me with everything I need. I go, I need this director and from this episode and Ida Lupino in this episode. Do you have both of them so I can compare them right now? He goes, I'll get them. And when I wanted the Mary Surratt episode, magically it appeared on my computer. Nobody could get it. It was COVID, and it was at the Library of Congress only. And he said, you've got like 5 days. So I watched it and it disappeared. He's just amazing. And I want to thank Maya, because she gave me the picture that's the cover for the book. She gave it to me as a birthday present, and I didn't know I was going to write a book, trust me. But when it happened, I said, look, this is going to be the cover of the book, and it's a deal breaker. And they said, okay, it's fine.
Random eBay purchase.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Alex. That's really nice. Okay. Thank you. Go
A
ahead.
follow-up from the This Is Your Life episode. I was surprised that she characterized producers as being mistreated, so I wanted your comment on that. And also, was there really a fashion enterprise? What was her interest in fashion?
And I would add to that just her relationship with advertisers,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I think there were producers she liked, maybe Mark Hellinger, I don't know, a few producers that maybe were not treated well. That's the only thing, because I didn't understand that comment.
Do you think that she was making a comment about her experience as a producer?
I don't know. I mean, she could have been, but she always sidestepped that kind of stuff and left it to Collier Young. But yeah, she was a producer, and yeah, it was rough. A couple of the films she produced while she was doing the filmmakers thing she wasn't in, she didn't really like that role. It didn't seem. I don't think it seemed it's creative for her.
Also thinking about the relationship with the Production Code Administration, and especially since the films that she and the filmmakers were making were handling controversial topics, rape and pregnancy, unwed mothers, polio.
Well, something I wanted to mention about number 5 checked out, there's a disability in there. And never fear, the disability is polio. In The Hitchhiker, the disability is Bill Tallman's slow eye that never closes, so you never know if he was asleep or awake. She used that in the film very well. But she was concerned with disability and how disability and sometimes was how women could be disfigured in some way by disability. And Ronnie Scheib talks about that, and it's a very interesting topic. And people really haven't discussed it that much. But
And during the period in which she's taking on those topics in the 1950s.
And also sort of a
Very
mental disability in Not Wanted as well, you know. So that was an important sort of through line that followed her all the way to number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was somebody in the back, just behind you, yeah.
I like the way that Ida Lupino kidded herself in Mr. Adams and Eve when she said that she was referred to as the road show Ida Lupino. That was, I know, in reference to the fact that she was called the poor man's Betty Davis. Right. And I was wondering, what do you know of her relationship to Betty Davis?
Oh, she admired Betty Davis greatly. It was a good relationship. She was also considered the female Hitch. And it was Hitchcock who gave her that title because he said it's really hard to write suspense and surprise. He prefers suspense to surprise, but if you can do both, that's amazing. And she could do both, and he saw that. And so he's the one who named her that. There were all kinds of names and things about her because she was this anomaly. She was like looked at a lot. She didn't want to be seen. So somebody who doesn't want to be seen does not go on This Is Your Life, Ida Lupino. It's not comfortable.
We have time for here in the front, please. If you can just wait for the mic.
I can't thank you so much, Bruno. I feel so much better now.
The Twilight Zone is my favorite show ever, and I was curious your thoughts on the 2 episodes Ms. Lupino was involved in.
Well, she directed The Masks, and she loved the grotesque, and she later directed some episodes from Thriller with Boris Karloff presenting. So I thought that episode was just stunning, and I think it's ranked number 5 of all of Serling's episodes. And he was very finicky, you know. So for her to direct, I mean, she was the only woman he ever let direct.
She also starred in the episode The 60mm Shrine.
Yes. Such an incredible performance. It's kind of a remake of, you know, Sunset Boulevard. But on the small screen, it's somehow even more poignant because it's more realistic, I think, than the Gloria Swanson role. You know, I mean that's an iconic role, but she wasn't as classic Hollywood. You know, it was a little bit more. It was better acted, I think, frankly.
And that Twilight Zone episode, for folks who maybe haven't seen it, is she's an aging actress who's being faced with that in the Twilight Zone world. So again, an example of Ida Lupino not being afraid to really explore her celebrity as she aged, which of course, you know, is supposed to be the worst thing for an actress to age. But she did something so creative with it. Just to get in one question about research, because you did such great research. Researching and identifying primary sources for television, historical television, can often be challenging. Trying to find production papers, you know, personal correspondence, photos, sketches, etc. What was your approach? Tell us something that you found in an archive that helped you understand Lupino's television career.
I just want to say one thing before that.
Yeah.
There's John introduced me to a scholar. I've never met him, but I mean, introduced me to his work, Carlo Ginzburg, who lives in Pisa, Italy now, if he's still alive. But he used to teach here history, but he taught a course in fingerprinting. And he said, when you go into the archive, you have to see around corners. I hope I'm getting this right, Sean. And you have to find traces, footprints, and tracks. And I thought, what does that mean? That's like, I don't even understand that. So then when I went into the archive, it all made sense because, as I said, she didn't leave any diaries. She didn't leave notebooks, you know. This is me, Ida Lupino, and I did this, and it's going to be real easy for you. That didn't exist. I found fragments. I found torn pieces of paper. I found her handwriting on the side of a margin of a script, you know, and I just saved all this stuff and to try to put who she was all together. And so that kind of methodology you're just a detective, basically, you know, and you just go in. But the best thing I found was, believe it or not, at USC.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Very.
I've got some USC people here too.
We'll allow it
Yeah.
tonight. We will.
They're okay. It was in the basement, and Ned Comstock, like he just passed about a year ago, and he was an incredible guy, and I think he'd been there since he was like 14. It felt like it. I didn't know what they're going to do without him, and it wasn't a very big room, just as the cinematic library, and it's in the basement. You go in. He knew where everything was. And the day I got there, the day I met him, I said, look, I'm researching Ida Lupino, some of her television. He said, oh my God, I just got in all this stuff that MGM didn't want anymore, and they were going to burn it. And somebody who knew him called and said, I've got all this MGM stuff, brought it over. And in there was this TV series, Detective Benedict or something, I don't know. Sugar and Spice. It was an episode that she had directed from a series with the guy who was in The Hitchhiker. No, another one.
Edmund O'Brien?
Yes, thank you. I can never think of his name. I don't know why. But anyway, he was now the head of the episode. And so he hired her to direct.
And he had been in The Bigamist.
And he had been in The Bigamist, yeah, too. Yeah, she liked him a lot. They were good friends. So there was another guy who had directed something, and it was from the same series. And I thought, I'm going to compare these two, right, and see what it was like. So I was there. He gave me all the papers and all the stuff I needed, and I went to UCLA an hour later and talked to Magic Mark and said, do you have these two episodes on, like, you know, I don't know, on tape? And he said, yes. So I watched the Dan Medford one, and I watched the Ida Lupino. And the difference was just so amazing. Her camera was moving all over the place like she does. And it was fascinating, and it was engrossing. His was like a locked off wide shot, just an establishing shot that was gray. There was no contrast. And he got paid more. His cast got paid more, and his I think his episodes, the cast was paid more, he was paid more, and he got more time to do what he wanted to do. But he also didn't bring it in under budget like she had. So in one day, I had this like amazing comparison. So I went back to Ned, and in some more papers that he had every single note from number 5 checked out. How much everything cost, how many feet everything was, how many shots, how many scenes, how many setups. Tremendous amount of setups for the time she had. These things were, 3 days. So that was an amazing And that was a USC UCLA collab.
Yay! All right, good. We'll end on that note because that's beautiful detective work. Thank you, Alexandra. Congratulations! Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.